Sorry, I'm in a different room. I'm fancy.
I know. Speaking of jammed up.
Oh.
Nope. Nope. Really got to edit. Still have the long one on there.
Hey, Frank. Good to see you.
It's good to actually see you at 7:00 ish.
Yeah, you were around last week at 7:00.
I was for a minute.
See, Dom's already here. Charles is already here.
All right.
My mom's already here. Look, it's packed house.
Boom,
Packed
boom. I
house.
see it popping up. Look, so I tried something different this week, and I have all the notes that I need over here on another computer. So this computer just has this on, and that's it.
Oh, that's encouraging.
Nothing else is running.
I'm rooting for you, Frank.
Yeah. So how was your week?
My week was good. Dom is already hassling you in the chat, though.
I know. It doesn't take long.
He's already asking, are we going to get a full week of Frank?
I'm going to whip something fun out in a minute.
Maybe. Dylan's here.
Pete's
Frank's messing with you.
Frank, Pete, you could just leave. No, don't leave, Pete.
Pete's just trying to torture you.
Don't mess with me, Pete.
I was good. I had watched a lot of stuff. I had a gig. Filled in with the band Super Train, which was pretty fun. They were doing it's all 90s rock.
Oh, Little Black Backpack.
We did do Little Black Backpack. Did that, a little bit of Rage, some STP, some Nirvana.
Ooh.
All sorts of good stuff. They were fun. And that was right by the house, which was great.
That's awesome for you.
And then I got 3 gigs coming up this week. I'm all over the place. I got Exton and Philly and Percy.
Wow. Yeah, you are dotting the gauntlet.
So as always, you can check that out. If any of you guys want to come check it out, it's at jackkidmusic.com. We'll give you the whole routine and where all that is.
I highly, highly, highly recommend at least once in your life going out to see Jack and his amazing knowledge of songs that he can just pull out of his ass at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I tried. Probably not the stuff Dylan listens to, if I'm guessing right, but I can fake at least a few bars of Pantera for you, maybe. Yeah, I did that. I finally bit the bullet and watched Legends of Vox Machina.
Panner A? You know Panner A?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Joke. Yeah, it's okay.
Dylan, I'm actually unhappy that the Flyers won, so I don't even want to talk about it. They need to lose.
Oh, isn't a little early in the season to already be going for the the picks? No,
we should have been doing that 2 months ago.
Oh wow,
okay. It's already bad enough that we're going to finish somewhere between 10th and 17th and get a shit pick in a year where you want to have a very high draft pick.
Got it.
Like this is a generational draft. There's a player coming out that's going to go number 1 overall, Connor Bedard, who's absolutely on a level of a Connor McDavid and like a Lemieux and Gretzky-ish. Maybe not as high as Gretzky. That's but this kid is. Yeah. Anyway, you were saying. Sorry.
Yeah. So I finally, me and my oldest finally dug into Legends of Vox Machina.
Yeah.
After waiting for so long, I enjoyed it more than anything else I saw this last week.
You're gonna hate me.
That includes the Flash season 9, which I have to say, for anybody that's hanging out with us on this show, I recommend just do it, bite the bullet, and come in for season 9 of the Flash. Even if you took a few years off or have been watching the whole time, it's so bad. You just have to come along for the ride. It's only 11 episodes left.
It's like a train wreck.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It got worse.
Oh, every episode gets worse.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So, but I'll talk about Legends of Vox Machina at some point because it is so stupid good.
Absolutely.
But what were you up to? What have you been doing?
I had a really long week actually. I See, I had a hockey game Tuesday night, a hockey game Friday night. And I didn't mention before on the show, but I finished a project I have been working on for about 2 weeks now. I bought the 7,546 piece Lego Millennium Falcon, and I finished it. And I will post pictures later on, maybe not tonight, but I'll throw them up on our page. I documented my progress as I went each step, and the book was about this.
You said the pieces and the book were ridiculous.
It was absolutely ridiculously insane. It's done and it's set on a table and it's displayed beautifully. I sent you pictures, and it's done. And now my life is empty until the next one comes. The next one will be here in about 2 weeks.
All right, so that's 2 weeks you have to catch up on some things and watch the list
So-
Dom has provided you over the years.
He has, and I also bought something from a video game I played that I'm going to bring over here in a second. This is.
Oh, I remember seeing this.
Yeah, this is. This.
Oh.
As you can see.
I see it knocking all sorts of shit over in your room is what I see. So for those that can't see it, what was that, Frank?
So for those that can't see it, if you've ever played or know anything about the Destiny video game, that was the Nerf Gallahorn. So it shoots 3 Nerf darts out at once.
Oh, that sounds.
As in the video game, it shoots a rocket, and then what's called Wolfpack rounds come out around, and it was a very overpowered weapon for a while. But yeah, never. I wanted to show that in the past. That sums up basically most of what I've been doing.
How's your aim? Can you knock off a beer can from across the room?
No, but I can shoot my son when he comes in from work, so that's awesome.
Sounds like that's just as good.
Or I could call him out of his room and shoot it up the steps at him. He's not as amused as I am when it happens.
I would assume not.
As far as watching stuff, obviously we're going to talk about Ant-Man later on in the show near the end, and The Last of Us, and I'm not up on Bad Batch. I think I'm like 1 back.
I'm several Bad Batches behind.
Yeah, I skipped that this week because they seem to be more interesting in batches as opposed to one-offs.
Yeah, they have not done a lot to move the story forward this season.
No.
And the story they're trying to move forward, I really don't care about.
I did get sucked into a movie that I had only previously watched once.
Oh.
As a trilogy of movies that I somehow managed to get sucked into from Thursday until yesterday, actually.
Sound like really long movies.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, God.
And I watched them all. I saw them all in the theaters, so it was so long ago I didn't remember a lot of it. And of course, I've seen clips over the years, and it was an interesting rewatch. They still hold up. Actually,
did you watch the extended cuts?
This was the Netflix.
Oh,
yeah. I didn't have
extended cuts are so much better.
Right, and maybe in another year I'll go back and do that. But as I was looking for something, I was eating a sandwich and I just wanted to watch something real quick. And I've seen every episode of The Office 247 times each. So I took a break and I stopped on Friday Night Lights and I went, no, not just yet. We'll wait until the summer for that. And do that when The Flash is over and I have a void in my life.
The Flash will never be over. Superman and Lois will be back then. You can enjoy that.
Yeah,
whatever storyline that's going to be.
I got some shit on that later too.
Cool.
And I see that Dylan saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and I'm really curious what he thought of that because apparently that's getting its own like shared universe.
It's doing great. It's all that public IP. We talked about that a little bit last week.
We did, and I might break down and watch that if I can find it.
I will likely end up finding a way to watch that because I have that, and I finally decided I'm going to start getting back up to date on horror and tried to start Scream yesterday, but the little one did not like it. We did watch Attack of the Southern Fried Zombies yesterday.
I've heard of that actually.
Oh my God, it was awful.
Okay, good.
It was so bad
zombie.
That it was great because it was so bad.
It went all the way around.
Look, it was like Last of Us. It was because there's the kudzu plant in the southern part of the country that took over. It overgrew everything, so they tried to kill it with a pesticide.
Well,
that then made it an overpowered plant that then corrupted people and made them into zombies.
do you think let me off road for a second and Charles finished Game of Thrones. Which Game of Thrones did you finish, Charles? Is it the House of Dragon, or are you like did you finally like suck it up and finish the original Game of Thrones and suffer? Now you can suffer with us.
I wish I would have known he was rewatching. Charles, you could go back to our previous podcast we were on, that Frank was on, and
Yeah.
hear our thoughts. One of our first podcasts,
Mhm.
we're doing the season 8 of Game of Thrones.
I won a bunch of money, if you remember.
No.
The office pool, the office I was at. Oh, the original. Wow. Oh, so you finally got to suffer through the last season like the rest of us have and are now tortured with that. Um, I won a bunch of money. They did a pool about who was going to die and live, and it was a whole big questionnaire. And I think I got 10 out of 12 right or something.
I was only a guest star on your podcast back then. I wasn't fancy enough to be a full
No.
member
on our semi podcast. So in the stuff that I have here, so Lilo and Stitch was a wonderful Disney movie, right? See,
Heard of it.
Pete, I'm gonna kick you. I'm gonna bring the Nerf Gallahorn in the next
For
game.
people that can't see it, Pete is saying, "Stop. Season 8 was good."
Season 8 was
Mm.
Lilo and Stitch. Remember that movie?
I do.
They're gonna do a live action Lilo and Stitch,
No,
as Disney is doing.
I mean, it's a lot of CGI for Stitch.
Yeah. Well, they cast the lead role already.
Okay.
And Zach Galifianakis is the lead role.
Okay. That's going to be fun.
It's just just the trolling is unbelievable.
We do have some stuff going on. So Charles, just back to the Game of Thrones to involve the chat for a second before we go back over to Zach Galifianakis, who is like the third best Joker from the Lego Batman movie.
Right.
As Stitch, but Charles thinks Damon's going to be the Night King. Interesting.
I don't think so, but the way they twist stuff around, it's possible they could.
And the only reason that I'm making sure to go back and forth is because our chat is spread across a few different platforms, so they can't all see each other.
Right.
So Dom thinks Brand's the best character. Yeah,
Brand the broke.
Everybody's favorite.
Well, he did tag that with an LOL.
I know. And then we got Hodor from Pete, who is continuing his trolling ways today.
Actually, Hodor was a good character, and I don't hate Hodor.
Yeah, until they told you where Hodor came from, and then it was like, oh.
Yeah, but that was like he actually had that coming in the books. The Winds of Winter, I believe, is the next book in the series that was due out 10 years ago.
Yeah, he's really writing hard on that one.
Yeah. So I don't know. I if they're gonna do Lilo and Stitch in live action, Zach Galifianakis in live action?
Stitch will be CGI.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. In sadder news, Bruce Willis, who left the public eye due to his I forget what the aphasia.
Yep.
They've diagnosed exactly what it is that he has, and he has frontotemporal dementia.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Mr. Willis.
And it's terrible. And he's got the last movie he made in his in some assassin series or detective series, I think it was, is coming out soon. Dominic Purcell from Legends, is in it,
and Prison Break.
And Prison Break, more so Prison Break, but. Yeah, so that's terrible to hear. I've always been a huge Bruce Willis fan, and I've mentioned it on the show before. I'm a huge Return of Bruno fan. Love the harmonica.
Wow.
Yeah. Respect.
Yeah. Look, he worked. It's what he never didn't work from the minute he was finally able to and got famous. He just ran with it and nonstop. So
Blind Date's a classic.
Blind Date is
phenomenal. John Larroquette, who's back on TV.
He is. I'm a few episodes behind on John Larroquette's TV return now.
As I am. Another big blockbuster movie's coming out this summer.
No.
One that I'm extremely excited for.
Mm.
And I'm gonna have the same reaction to this one that I did at the original Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Fast and the Furious, Fast X,
Mm.
ends on a monster cliffhanger, the director said.
Great. I bet somebody will be on the verge of dying and then be fine.
When I originally went to see the first Lord of the Rings in the theater, I forgot that it was a trilogy. So at the end of the first movie, they crest the mountain and they look over and see Mordor, and then the credits rolled. I was like, "What the f?" I totally forgot it was a trilogy.
I mean, you were also already 2 hours in.
Right. So it's like all that walking, and they still have more walking.
Yeah, so I will tell you, since you watched the original, I don't know if you ever saw the extended ones, but one of the big scenes that they cut out of the original that's in the extended version is Galadriel's the giving of the gifts.
Oh, okay. With the
When you get to figure out why all of a sudden they all have these fancy cool things.
I think I watched that. I think I YouTubed that at one point.
Yeah, that's a good 20-minute scene almost they cut out of the original.
Jesus. I can imagine what's on the cutting room floor of those movies.
They released another, I think they put out like another one recently with even more stuff added back in.
Jesus.
Good for Magnum PI is back for Charles. Nice on Sunday nights.
I never started that. I was a fan of the old one. I was a fan.
Yeah, it's all those Hawaii shows, regardless of what they're called, kind of end up being the same show. So I could never get into them because I think that one, MacGyver, Hawaii
MacGyver.
5-0, NCIS Hawaii now, like all the Hawaii shows are pretty much feel like the same.
I tapped out of MacGyver early.
I never watched it. I feel like it was based in Hawaii. It might not have been, but
No,
I feel like it was.
It wasn't based in Hawaii, but I understand where you're getting that feeling from.
Gotcha.
I Am Legend. Will Smith.
Yeah, the Will Smith John.
Now, I Am Legend 2 is going to be a thing. It's being fast tracked now. After his downturn after the Oscar slap to now he's kind of got a resurgence coming. Well, he was in the movie that the Slate.
Yes.
Yeah, that apparently is really, really good, and he's great in it. So I Am Legend 2 is being fast tracked to star Michael B. Jordan, who is in everything now. He is.
Yeah, I feel like that's more of why it's being fast tracked than Will Smith.
So the story is going to be set decades after the 2007 original, and it's going to follow the alternate ending from the book
and the movie. They did film the movie.
Yes,
that nobody saw unless you bought the DVD.
So the book is actually the ending, right? And then the movie they did where he dies.
But they did an alt ending to the movie too. Like they shot both of them.
Right. No. I mean, but that's in the movie. Is that also in the book where he dies, and then there's an alternate ending in the book? I never read the book.
No. There was just an alt ending in the movie, I think.
Okay, so in the book he survives and he goes on.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling, and I'm curious. Do you think that this is more of a thing now because of The Last of Us and being so popular?
I'm sure it is, and everybody's now scrambling for what post-apocalyptic zombie-esque, but not really quite zombie things they have that they can do.
Right. That's kind of what I figured.
And everything else keeps getting pushed back. Fear the Walking Dead just got pushed back a little bit. It's not coming out till like May or June, I want to say, and it's only like a half season. And then their new City of the Walking Dead or Dead City with Negan and Maggie is getting pushed out. I want to say it's like it was supposed to be a March start. It's going to be May now.
Whew. There's a lot of stuff that's being canceled and shifted around. Disney Plus just recently canceled 2 shows. Disney canceled the Mighty Ducks after Emilio left due to creative differences.
Yeah, how was season 2? I know you were all about season 1. I'm sure you watched season 2 this last 2 weeks while we were on the Lego thing.
Yeah, no, I missed it, and it's a shame because I like Josh Duhamel. I'm a big Josh Duhamel fan.
Yeah, I heard his chemistry with Lauren Graham was pretty good too.
And they canceled Big Shot, the John Stamos basketball high school basketball team.
Yeah, I think that got a few seasons though, didn't it? That was already 2 or 3 seasons.
Nope, only got 1.
Really?
I think it may have gotten a second, and the ratings were so bad on it. They just pulled the plug.
I think they did 2 seasons.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna ever go back and watch the Mighty Ducks. I got what I needed with Emilio. We never got Charlie because he was busy filming Dr. Death. so he didn't have time. Joshua Jackson, he couldn't leave the creek.
Both seasons.
Yeah. I don't know if he was in season 2. Season 1, we got a handful of the ducks. We did it. I did a whole thing on that where I watched it for the whole
Yeah.
for like
So
10.
we did get 2 seasons of Big Shot.
Okay. And then it must have been so bad that's why they pulled it.
Probably. Look, Stamos is another one. He just works. It doesn't matter if it's good or not, but he's working all the time.
Well,
He's doing a lot of voiceover work now, though, because he finally has kids, or a kid. He's like 60 and has like a 2 or 3-year-old.
oh God.
But he does in the Spidey and His Amazing Friends. He is which I watch because that's what my daughter likes to watch. He's Iron Man in that.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And there was something else I watched where he's doing other voices, and I was like, all right,
Okay.
staying busy with voiceover work now, which is easy.
And his hair is awesome.
Yeah, but he doesn't even need to show it. And the Beach Boys just tour forever, I guess.
So HBO's doing something weird. Okay. And I noticed this the other day. I was flipping around TV channels, flipping down the Hulu guide to see what was on. And I noticed on TNT, it was like 8:30, True Blood was on. TNT. Yeah. So HBO is doing this they're testing this thing out where they're going to air 2 series on basic cable channels. They're going to do Silicon Valley and they're going to do True Blood. How the hell can you even show an edited version of True Blood on basic cable? It's all nudity the first season.
There was a lot, but I mean, there's some stuff in between. I don't know if they just go to like a black screen instead or what they're going to do. It's yeah. I don't know what their plan is for that. I did catch that the other night. So the gig I was at, they had on TNT because I guess basketball had been on, and it stayed on. And I was like, "Why is True Blood airing?" And I was like, "But you also got to think, right? So True Blood was they usually ran the full hour.
Yep.
So they got about 16 minutes per episode. They're gonna have to cut
at least.
So there's plenty. It's easy to cut the nudity out of there.
But I guess
and it's not like there was a lot of plot development during the nudity scenes.
No, and it's stupid. It's stupid to cut it out. That was the whole reason people watched.
I mean, it's also it's not FX, but I mean they can show a lot if they only air it late night. They can show a lot on a cable.
Yeah, but it's TNT. That's TBN.
It's still cable though.
TNT. Yeah.
Because the stuff I forget what show I was watching that I'm like, this was just a regular TV show.
Yeah.
And your Yellowstone crap.
Oh.
I mean, you got full on Beth in the first season. That's regular cable.
That's true.
I'm still not caught up. I'm trying.
Well, you have a lot of time.
It's not.
I mean, you have a lot of time because.
Do I? How long is this break?
Well, part 2 of season 5 is being delayed right now due to rumors of behind-the-scenes turmoil attached to the Kevin Costner's desire to be on set less because he's branching back out into other TV and movie stuff. Right now, they're on hiatus, and I don't even think they've started filming the second half of the season yet.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, his brand caught fire, so why wouldn't you?
Right. And Taylor Sheridan reportedly already has the ending of this epic episode, this version in mind. So I'm going to assume they can get out of this by killing John Dutton off, which is an easy get.
Yeah, it depends on what Costner's contract is.
Right. And
you're getting 1943 soon anyway, so. Or 1953.
1923's out.
No, there's another one, though, they already announced. With McConaughey.
Well, no. Well,
McConaughey is the dad.
Yeah, but he might actually pop into this one.
Oh. We'll see.
So, I mean, and if you really want to do anything, you can just take Josh Lucas and just do before the Kevin Costner era.
That's true.
Like, because he's great in it when he's in it. So far.
Yeah. I mean, this stuff I've seen of him, I'm always impressed. I'm like, that's not a little get either.
No.
Or just a bit character to come in.
No, he was great in Sweet Home Alabama. Dom in the chat wants a World War Z Part 2. And Dylan is reminding us that The Outer Banks returns Thursday. I actually just scrolled through past that on Netflix. The Outer Banks looks like something I'd like.
Does it? Is that your kind of stuff?
Is it like a dramedy? Not a dramedy. Is it like a drama?
No, no,
Is it a horror thing?
no.
What
It's
is it?
reality. It's reality TV.
Oh, never mind. No.
You would hate it.
Yeah, I tapped out on Survivor long, long, long ago.
There's something else that's on that my wife had me watching the other day. It's
Mm?
on Netflix, which I
Real
hope nobody here
Housewives.
watches. No, so it's hold on, I gotta find it. Perfect Match.
Yeah.
So it's all of the horrible people from all of the like Beauty and the Beast and or whatever it was, and like Love Is Blind and The Circle and all the Netflix reality shows. It's
Oh,
basically Bachelor in Paradise, except for every week they try and make everybody's life hell.
oh, yuck.
Oh, it's a drama
Oh,
adventure show.
there you go. So that is something I would like.
Sure, I don't know what it is.
No, I mean now that see that I might lean into that. How about that? Um, over on the Star Wars side, because we got the Mandalorian coming up in like 2 weeks.
Is it? All right.
It's the beginning of March,
Sure, let's get there.
right? Um, Katie
Disney's not gotten a great batting record the last year for me. So
Bob Iger is completely reshuffling how they do their shows and movies, and as I'm going to get into that in a couple in a couple minutes down here. But Katie Sackhoff has said that she was speaking to John Favreau and like before filming, and Bo Katan is going to be a central part of this.
sure, good, cool.
She has a huge part in this season coming up. Obviously, we expect there to be a fight between her and Din at some point.
Yeah, I find it ironic that all of the talk about Pedro Pascal going away is gone. There's no talk of him
Oh
leaving the show. There's nothing about that anymore.
no, God, he's red hot again.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm down with more Bo Katan. I mean, look, her story was interesting, but I liked what they did with her and her sister in the Clone Wars. So like
right.
in the series, so it's weird having all that live action now and having to go through all that again. But
Well, you could always bring Ewan McGregor in and do a little Obi-Wan. Maybe tag them in
um,
Obi-Wan season 2.
yeah, no, I don't know that they could
No, they can't.
in this one. Can they? Where are we? I don't
No,
remember where we
they're
are. No, we're after Return, right?
after Return.
It's hard to keep track because
I
they keep
know.
just plugging shows in whatever era they can find
I
that
know.
nobody's done a show yet.
No. And then I have Bad Batch question mark, but we've already covered that, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's not on my like priority list to watch right now because it's been so blah.
Blah. Yep. So DC, there's some good stuff here. There's some good stuff with the DC stuff.
Okay.
So James Gunn
Yeah.
was hired to write Superman Legacy
Yeah.
6 months before he took over as head of DC Studios.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means he was hired back before August.
Yeah.
Black Adam arrived in theaters in October, right?
Yeah.
So that means that Warner Brothers has been jerking around Henry Cavill for a long, long time.
Yeah. Well, I feel like The Rock just put him in that movie.
I think The Rock used every bit of leverage and power that he had back then to get Henry in the movie, but the studio was the one that told Henry to make the announcement that he was coming back for Superman. But all during that time that was going on, James Gunn had been hired to write Superman Legacy. So unless they were going to do like a Pattinson Affleck thing, where you had
Or maybe he hadn't decided yet on the story.
right, but he also wasn't head. He's just 6 months before they named him head. He was just writing a movie.
Right.
So I mean that's a lot. That really shows you how awfully run this whole thing was.
Yeah. Because if you tell him, like, hey, you're coming in to write a Henry Cavill Superman movie, that's different than I want you to write a movie.
Right, and it looks like they just told him they wanted him to write a movie, not a Henry Cavill movie.
Right.
And then Dwayne did what Dwayne did, got him into the movie because apparently that took months to get that done. And then Warner Brothers was like, okay, go ahead and announce, Henry, that you're coming back as Superman and the future looks bright. And then it was just all yanked out from under him,
Right.
which really sucks. But, it is what it is. Robert Pattinson is rumored to show up in the Penguin TV series.
It's fine.
Makes sense, right?
I care so little about most of what DC is doing at this point, which is awful
It is. It's a
because
shame.
I love the company. Most of my favorite characters are DC characters, and I haven't gotten to see any of them in so long.
No.
Um,
So this coming about. So there's been some chit chat online about how old Superman and Batman will be.
yeah,
So this is the way James Gunn clarified it. Superman will be younger than in his 40s, and Batman might be a couple years older than Superman. So you're going to get a Superman early 30s probably,
probably
and then you're going to get a
maybe late
Batman.
20s.
You're going to get a Batman late 30s, early 40s if he's a
No,
father.
I think he's going to be, or I think he's also going to be early to mid 30s.
So he's going to be a little bit older, but not.
Yeah, I don't think you go much. Like the reality is, like, as excited as we all are to see Michael Keaton, if it wasn't Michael Keaton, none of us would care that it was an old dude. We'd just be like, why is there an old dude playing Batman?
Basically.
Like Ben Affleck is like the line of how old you could go.
Yep, I
And
agree.
we've wasted 10 years of Ben Affleck as Batman. Just want to point that out.
And
We've wasted 10 years of finally the perfect actor to pull off Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yep.
With the look and like looks like a comic book.
Yep.
And we just wasted that.
Yep.
Drives me nuts.
Excuse me. I just, it drives me nuts too. I can't stand it. Because that was one of my favorite characters growing up was Batman.
And Affleck was the best casting they've ever done for it. Who like fit the look, the physique, the attitude, like could pull off the stunts, and then they're like, well, we're just gonna wait till you're too old to do it anymore.
Okay, right. Cool. He was also the bomb in Phantoms.
Yeah.
So over on the MCU side of things.
Well, why don't we before we get there, how much news do we have before we dump into other stuff?
I got a handful of actually really good
MCU. All right, let's hit that, then we'll do some Last of Us, then we'll come back for Quantumania.
Oh yeah, I wasn't going to Quantumania yet.
Yeah.
I was going to tag that at the end. So as I had said earlier, thank you, Dom. Jack got it also. As I said earlier, Bob Iger is really doing a complete reshuffle. Disney Plus lost a bunch of money for them for the first time since it's been released because they were pushing show after show after show after show out. Right now, it looks like only 2 shows are confirmed 100% for 2023 for the MCU. Okay. We're getting Loki 2 and Secret Invasion.
Okay.
Ironheart, Echo, and Agatha, the Covens, whatever, were all originally announced for 2023. They were set to get we were going to get 9 movies and shows together, and now it looks like we're going to get the movies that they promised, but only 2 shows.
That's fine. Look, make them better. Don't make more of them. Make them just. Marvel has been almost as big of a shit show as DC. Not from a drama standpoint, but from a writing and stuff coming out standpoint, that like they need to get their shit together. They haven't made it better anytime in the last week or so with anything they've put out with their writing and storylines getting better. So I don't mind them making these shows. But look, if Loki 2 season 2 doesn't suck, I will be very happy.
I think what else I was reading was I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to refine their process to making these shows to do what you said, make them better written and easier to push out.
Well, I think what they've done is they had so many properties they're thinning their talent pool.
Yep.
Right. Like I get there's always some up and comer, but like there's something to be said for the fact that Marvel, all of the Marvel stuff for the first like 8 years was Stan Lee, and that was it.
Right.
Like Stan Lee wrote and oversaw all of it, and we got Feige kind of doing it, but Feige's not writing anything.
No, he's
and they keep bringing in like this writer and that the guy they brought in to do WandaVision that they put on this other project that are both going to be garbage. Doctor Strange, right? They brought the WandaVision guy who ended up doing Doctor Strange and turned it into garbage from what the original script sounded like.
Horseshit.
And then the guy that just did Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, is going to be doing Kang Dynasty.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see if that lasts.
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, are you caught up? Are you Picarding season 3 yet?
I am. I will take a brief moment away from the MCU to tell you that the first episode of Picard season 3 was absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. Give me more Picard and Riker, not on the Enterprise, just two dudes, and I'm loving it.
All right, I'm 2 seasons behind, so I got to catch up.
Yeah, so all of the people basically from season 1 and season 2 are not in this one.
Got it.
Most of them aren't.
Now, but didn't they shoot season 2 and 3 back to back?
I don't know if they shot them back to back, but they definitely shot them close.
Mm-hmm.
And again, most of the people from the first 2 seasons, most of the characters that they brought along, they nicked them out in season 2 in ways that they are not present in this episode.
Got it.
This is a next generation send off with a 1 or 2 extras, kind of sprinkled in from the first 2 seasons. And I'm trying to do it without spoiling it. The first episode was for me 10 out of 10. Like absolutely 10 out of 10.
Great.
They hit all the beats and they haven't brought in everyone yet. So
got it. Well, that's about how long it took us to get the proper send off to the original Star Trek crew.
Yeah.
30 years, right?
Basically, yeah. As far as Patrick Stewart goes, he's actually been told by Marvel to kind of chill out. He's on standby right now to come back as Professor Xavier.
Oh, dear God, no. Well, look, for
better. No, it gets better. It gets
Yeah.
better. It gets better. According to the quote from Patrick Stewart, "We're not done. Sir Ian and myself, we're ... we've got plans."
No.
End quote.
No. Just no.
You're definitely going to see Professor Xavier and Magneto in Deadpool 3. That's what I think is going to happen.
All right. Then that's fine because they won't be like in the whole thing.
No, and
but Ian McKellen is 83.
Well, Patrick Stewart's not too far behind him.
No, I'm sure he's not.
He's got to be in his 80s, if not late 70s.
Patrick Stewart is 83.
Okay.
So they're both 83. They're within a year of each other.
Yes. So I'm not Googling anything on my computer because I don't want it to blow up.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Look, I'm okay if they pop up in Deadpool. And I did see this. I saw this weird video on TikTok. Do you remember? And this is the theory that this guy put out. Let me see if you're on board with this. And everybody's trying to drill down to when the mutants actually became part of the MCU, because they have to retcon them in at some point somewhere along the lines, right?
Maybe.
Well, this is another one of those. Remember when Wanda expanded the Hex to include everyone?
Yeah.
And if you cue that up with the Kang scene and Loki and everything that's the moment that mutants were created.
That's fine. I mean, we expected it at the end of WandaVision.
Right.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
I did also see another one where they talked about the fact that in Multiverse of Madness, Wanda talks about the fact that she had a hex where she was immune to any outside magic that came through.
Okay.
So she technically didn't forget that Peter Parker was Spider-Man because the spell wouldn't have worked on her.
Which tags into what Dom just said.
So Dom in the chat, you saw the reports of Spider-Man being the lead going forward. I did not.
I did. There's a report out.
I don't buy Tom Holland signing on for all that. He seems to want to do a lot of different things.
Hopefully not more Uncharted.
Look, they could do another one. It would make money as long as they don't release it during another pandemic.
Oh, the next pandemic. I'm waiting for that. The Fantastic Four. We're gonna start hearing a lot of Fantastic Four news, a lot of real news coming up.
They're gonna have to cast it soon.
According to Kevin Feige, the Fantastic Four is going to be the pillar of the MCU for years to come. And casting for the movie should begin soon, and they're going to start by casting the Sue Storm character, and they're going to build the cast out from her. Okay? The rumors that I was reading today continue that Reed and Sue are going to be cast older and will be parents already. So we're not going to get an origin Fantastic Four story. Probably maybe through flashbacks if this is true.
Fine. I wonder how many kids they're going to have. It's just going to be Nathaniel, or it's going to be both Nathaniel and I forget what the other one's name is.
Filming is supposed to start the first half of 2024.
Yeah.
So you want to get that. You're going to start seeing casting stuff. I would expect by the summer, maybe at least
Comic-Con. They'll announce it at
Comic-Con. If you're going to cast them older, do you go away from the Krasinski thing? Do you put that completely to bed? Leave that as it is?
He is older.
But what I mean is, do you not bring him back for this? Do you just find all new people for this? Don't bring anyone like that.
Well, the thing is, like, if you're going to cast older, you're not going to find unknowns, right? Like, you're not going to cast unknown people if you're casting older. But like, what do we define as older, right? Because like Robert Downey Jr. was like in his early 40s when he got cast, which would be, I can't imagine they'd want to go even that old if they want to hold on to him for a while, especially, and no offense, but like, especially for a female character. Just the way Hollywood is. It's not my opinion, but the way Hollywood's opinion is, if you're casting somebody in their 40s, because they already cast everything 10 years younger from a woman to a man in those roles. If you're going to cast, the same age there, like what do you do? What do you do there from an action standpoint? Because they're both very physical roles.
Yeah. Rudy Pankow, as Dylan said, he's from the Outer Banks. He was supposedly cast as the Human Torch a while ago. I don't think they actually made an official cast. They kind of reached out to someone and said, "Hey, hang on." But if this is true and they're going to build from Sue out, you figure they're going to cast Sue, then they're going to cast Reed, then they're going to get the other two, or maybe they'll cast Sue and Johnny and then get Reed.
Yeah,
you want to cast someone. You want to get her brother locked in too. Casting a husband's easy, right?
Yeah, look, it all depends on, and this is all assuming that they keep the Fantastic Four looking like they do in the comics.
Correct.
Which I don't think that you get.
I don't
think they do the whacked out adopted storyline like they did in Fan-Fourtastic.
No. I think you're going to get a more diverse cast for it, which it's great. Whatever. I'm fine with it. Just cast good actors. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I said, I don't think we can still assume that they will just cast to the comics anymore, because it was written during a different time where nobody cared about what if everybody got to see themselves in cinema. But we're at a different spot now for that.
Who do you guys want for Doom? Dom asks. That's a good question.
I don't have any preferences for Doom. Let's go Pedro Pascal. He seems to really enjoy wearing a mask.
He hates the Mandalorian mask.
He hasn't been in Marvel yet. He's still the hot guy right now.
Oh, he's DC.
Yeah, but they already killed him, because as all of these things do, they hate keeping villains around. So you get manufactured villains for the Thunderbolts.
I don't know. Who do you have in mind for that, Dom? As I read this, Captain America 4 starts filming in about a month. The Thunderbolts movie, Bucky Barnes is the de facto leader of the team, according to Kevin Feige.
Yeah, I saw that. Which, whatever.
Yeah, and that's that's all the junk I have, aside from the two big spoilery things we have.
Yeah, so let's I'll talk about Legends of Vox Machina next week.
Go ahead. You sure?
Yeah. Well, I'm not done season 2, so when I'm done season 2, I'll talk about it next week. Okay. But in the meantime, anybody that hasn't watched that, go watch it. It's just so much fun. Like, this writing is fantastic. The voice acting is phenomenal. And the storyline's super, super cool and like dark and gritty, and there's a lot of dick and fart jokes that you wouldn't expect, and
I'm
like
not picking fart jokes.
crazy horror and cool monsters and yeah, unexpected twists and turns. It's great. I can't recommend it enough.
Picking fart jokes is like my wheelhouse.
I know, but you wouldn't expect it in a D&D show.
No.
And they're like graphic ones. It's great.
Oh, okay.
It's fantastic. It's a bunch of guys that played D&D for a couple years on YouTube. They got to write a movie. It was actually the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
fastest Kickstarter ever. The Kickstarter funded the entire first season.
Are we? Which way do you want to go first?
Let's go Last of Us because I want to be able to dig in a little bit on the Ant-Man front.
Okay. All right. What did you think?
This was there was some great iconic moments in this one. But I fell asleep during it, honestly.
I wasn't going to watch it last night. I was going to watch it this morning. Oh, okay. I wasn't going to watch it this morning. How did that happen?
What?
No. Oh, nothing. Well, I could see Jamie Lannister as Doom, maybe. That was Tom's pick.
Maybe.
So before I get into, I enjoyed the episode. I expected there was going to have to be at least one episode that was going to drag a little bit.
Yeah, I will. So yeah, I was typing while you asked that. So hold on. So I was incredibly annoyed at the 3 months later that it started with. Because I just like there's so much more on the road journey we could have told.
Yeah.
That I get we got to move the story forward and get to the end of it because that's how they got to or they're going to get to the end of game 1.
Well, we only have what, 2 episodes left?
3. But like is rocking through storyline now. So like I would have enjoyed more of like let's watch them on their trip across country. Like let's drag that part out and get some more like they stop by this, they meet this crew, they do like a little bit more of that stuff.
Do you think they maybe did that because they weren't sure they were getting a season 2 and they needed to get to the end of this?
No, I think that way is more expensive for as much crazy shit as they've done on this show. So they didn't want to do that. They wanted to have this is our set piece for each episode we have.
Well, this was a real town, right? This was a real town they were in.
Yeah, they redid for the show. Yeah, but yeah, like that just like I was like, all right, now we jump through, and then we were in and out of the town. Like you could have spent 2 episodes in that town, developed the relationship a little bit instead of all right, hey, look, here's Tommy. All right, bye.
There was another HBO blunder in this episode.
Oh, was there?
There was. So I didn't know this either, but when they pull back in a wide angle shot as they're showing that bridge that they end up walking across, there's a film crew in the bushes. That you,
nice.
If you have to really look for
They're
it.
gone by now.
Yeah, yeah, but
that's already been CGI'd back out. If you go try and watch it again,
probably. I thought it was a little bit of a rushed episode too, but I don't know how the game ends. I mean, I kind of know how the game ends, I think, but I've avoided looking to see how everything ends. So I don't know if he goes back and hangs out with his brother or if that was it.
Like, they have some more time to. I mean, but they only have 3 episodes now, and just
right.
It ended up feeling rushed, and then the episode felt rushed. But like, I was also it's weird for me seeing Tara in a role. Sorry, since we mentioned True Blood earlier.
Yes. Oh, that's where she's from. I could not think.
Yeah, seeing her and like every time I see her, she's the character from True Blood for me.
Right. She has her clothes.
I think I've only seen her in one other thing ever.
Yeah.
And it was probably an HBO show. But yeah, it was fine. Like I wish we would have gotten more of Ellie and Joel getting to this point because I feel like they are in the same spot they were at the end of the last episode, where I don't feel like in 3 months on the road their relationship changed.
Yeah,
was the opportunity, in my opinion, for where it went.
I thoroughly enjoyed the first 10 minutes of the show. Them in that cabin was great. All of that interaction was hilarious. Whoever played that wife, she was absolutely fantastic.
Yep. Yeah. Did you?
And I know who the guy is because I've seen him in other stuff, and I can't remember who he is, and I don't feel like looking it up right now. But he was awesome. That was a great scene. The Joel and Tommy scene is pulled right from the game, I believe.
Yeah, and so is the one with Joel and Ellie.
Right. And I watched the after thing with that, and how she talked about, or how that like was so nerve-wracking to get it right because of the way it was. And I thought they nailed it, both scenes, on total emotional levels.
Yeah, they were great. From that standpoint, look, I still really enjoy the show. I like that when they did leave, I was surprised that we got as much episode as we did after they left.
Yeah.
But that's why I meant, like, all of a sudden it felt rushed. Like, the fact that we had a whole thing before they got to the town and a whole thing after they got to the town in this 45-minute episode seemed like our time in Jackson was really rushed.
It really did. And now next week's episode looks like it's going to be mostly flashback, like Ellie backstory.
Yeah, which is the DLC for the first game.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a DLC they did where you got Ellie's backstory in school and everything.
Okay.
The first game.
Gotcha.
So that's fine. It'll give you where Ellie is from. But then we have 2 episodes left to get to the end of the show. So.
Right.
Yeah.
What else did I want to say? I think that's it for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, Gabriel Luna, I was waiting for his head to catch on fire the whole time.
That'd have been great. That'd have been phenomenal.
It would have been amazing if they would have gone that route with it. But yeah, it's weird for me because and especially with HBO stuff. So I finished the show and I'm like, eh. And then I watch the stuff when they talk about it afterwards. I'm like, oh, that sounds like that was really good. I don't think I watched what they thought they put on film.
No.
That was the same. Like, if you watch, I told you about this before, the Avengers Assembled that they did for the Eternals.
Yes.
The Eternals sounds fantastic when they talk about it in the behind the scenes.
Right.
Like, you didn't put any of that in the theater.
No.
All this awesome stuff you're talking about, I didn't see any of it.
Yeah.
Speaking of things I didn't enjoy in the theater, you want to get to Ant-Man?
Yeah, let's get the spoilers. This movie is
well, let's do spoiler free.
Spoiler free?
So what did you think of the movie first, and then we'll get into spoilers after your overall thoughts on it.
I actually enjoyed the movie. It wasn't. It was better than Strange and Love and Thunder. Okay. It was better than Eternals. It was better
than Phase 5 now. Don't forget, this is the start of Phase 5.
It was better than the second Ant-Man movie, but not better than the first Ant-Man movie.
Okay.
I if I had to give it a number, I'd probably give it about a 7.5.
Okay.
Closer to 8 out of 10.
That's fair.
What about you? I'm assuming you're gonna not go the same route I went.
I mean, look, I wouldn't give it lower if I put, let's say, Thor: Love and Thunder at like a 4, because I feel like that's generous for that movie.
Okay.
And Eternals, I would put in that like at a 5. I would give this like between a 5 and a 6.
Okay.
Like, I feel like looking back at it, I will enjoy parts of this movie.
Yes.
However, it's not a great Ant-Man movie. It's a great big spectacle movie.
Yes.
But that's not what I want in an Ant-Man movie.
Right.
Like, different characters, this would have been fantastic.
They tried to.
This would have been a great Fantastic Four movie, honestly.
They tried.
Great Fantastic Four movie.
Dom gave it a 7.5/8. I did. I watched Dom. Dom did a little Facebook. He did a little Facebook Live, and I agree with it with what he said. And yeah, Jonathan Majors was absolutely the best thing in this entire movie.
So now, if you haven't actually seen it, jump out. Now we'll get into spoilers on it.
Now we'll get into spoilers. The Rotten Tomato score has been so different. The critics have it at a 47%, which is one of the lowest rated Marvel movies. But the audience has it at an 84%.
It's rated way lower than Thor: Love and Thunder by the critics.
Yeah.
So I love Paul Rudd's Ant-Man. I love Michael Douglas's Hank Pym. I I'm not a huge fan of Hope Van Dyne. Has nothing to do with Evangeline Lilly. I prefer my Janet and Hank is my
Yeah,
Wasp
you're
and
old.
Ant-Man. Yeah, well, and Janet's like the linchpin of the entire Marvel universe. Um, which maybe she is still based on the writing of this, but like a lot of the story beats just like weren't great. And a lot of it was like I wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to see what happened with this. It was more like, what?
I I thought that Michelle Pfeiffer was outstanding in what they gave her. She was great. I agree with again what Dom said here, and I was going to bring that up before he just threw it out there. Dom's big complaint is that they could have flushed Cassie's backstory out more. She's smart for the sake of being smart. We didn't see anything besides exposition to explain her intelligence. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Right? There was
Let's not
no
act like quantum physics is something easy to pick up.
right.
And they were all blipped except for her. It wasn't like Hank was there to mentor her this whole time.
So she did what 5-6 years of quantum physics.
She wasn't that old in Ant-Man and the Wasp, right?
No, she was a little girl in Ant-Man and the Wasp, if you remember.
Well, in Ant-Man 1, she was 6 because they
Right.
even said she was 6. Is this 15 years after Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I mean,
Like,
timey-wimey Marvel
like
stuff.
that's like a really long time
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that was after Civil War. So you're telling me that Civil War was I see I don't get the placement because they're screwing up their timeline more and more all the time with this series.
Let's see. Cassie Lang, Peyton Reed stated that Cassie fans will meet Quantum Amy is 18 years old.
So she's 18-year-old and like Dom just said, intelligent enough to build a quantum dimensional
Well,
something.
Hank started helping her. Hank did help her a little bit.
Right. Yeah, but still. I mean, it's been like probably a year or so because Scott had time to write a book, right,
Mm-hmm.
and do some stuff. But yeah, so like I agree with that with Cassie, and like, how did Scott not know she'd been in jail a bunch of times? Like, is he that absent? Because it doesn't seem like he's done anything else since Endgame. Like, he hasn't been going around heroing because it didn't show like these are my adventures. It's like, hey, I was writing a book,
Yeah,
and then but he still wears the costume everywhere he goes.
they. It's hard to do time stuff, and they're not. There's cracks in their armor right now. The MCU as a whole, with the way they did the time jump after Infinity War and Endgame, and it's a little funky the way they play with the time.
Yeah. Dom saying Scott doesn't paint him as the type to choose popularity over his daughter,
Not after the way he acted in the first Ant-Man, no.
or the second,
Or
or Endgame.
no, not at all. He seems like he would take being a family person over the popularity. What did you think of MODOK?
Um, I really liked him till they decided to make him a whiny bitch.
Yow.
Yeah. I mean, the CGI on him was horrible.
That was bad.
Um,
It was really bad.
and like they got into like hey, I got over you crushing my body and shrinking me into this contorted shape and sending me into the quantum realm. The fact that he got over it by an 18-year-old girl and don't be a dick.
Right.
And now he's like, yeah, I'm good. I want to be a good guy now. I mean, look, it was funny when he's like, at least I get to die an Avenger. Like, that was great.
Yeah.
Right. But like, didn't fit Darren Cross from the first movie at all.
I can understand him explaining that away by the trauma of going down to the quantum realm and then Kang messing with him. Like I can understand a little bit of the personality shift, but to go from being this I'm gonna kill you to all of a sudden whining the whole time was a way too fast of a swerve over here.
Yeah, like I said, like I feel like the whole movie didn't need to be an Ant-Man movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this would have been cool, and like as like a Fantastic Four negative zone trip, and this is what you did for that. But from the way we've treated Ant-Man this whole time, it was weird as an Ant-Man movie because we barely got anything with Hope. She was
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my god, mom, you banged Bill Murray." Ew.
Right.
Was all we got out of her. And like Hank was great,
Right.
doing his thing, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, there's my ants." Okay. And but we didn't lean into the fact that these ants have advanced by thousands of years, which
Right.
honestly, ants 1,000 years later, guess what? They're still ants.
Uh,
Because on Earth, they've been just ants for 1,000 years.
well, we haven't given them the technology.
Yeah, but I don't know where they got huge too, right? Or did they not shrink the same way? Because it seemed like
They were
you
big
know,
and
when these guys down there were getting big and small, they acted like it was when you got big and small on Earth, but they're already really, really tiny.
yeah.
So like their bodies wouldn't have been like, oh my god, I'm so big, because they weren't. They were still really, 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 really tiny.
Right.
Did it feel too Star Warsy?
I've
I
seen
mean,
that a lot.
the writing was as crappy as most of Star Wars. But no, like I said, like I feel like down the road I'll look back at this and be like, oh, this is fun. But for the movie that sets up the next two phases of Marvel, no. Like it was not, like I said, it wasn't a lot of like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what this means. Where I was like, what?
There were a lot of fast forwardable moments in this movie to rewatch it.
And it was only 2 hours. Like it was
Yeah.
short.
It was. I got through 1.5 pretzel bites.
The guy next to me fell asleep. Literally, he was snoring through like the middle half of the movie.
Okay, so the big get then is the 2 end credit scenes, right? Like that's the big setup.
Yeah, I mean, look, we also, because I don't think the quantum realm really matters in the grand scheme of things, right?
Now, no.
And the stuff we got before that on Kang. So this is the only Kang,
What?
right?
Nope.
Because all the stuff at the end, they're not all Kangs.
No.
The three we got at the end is Immortus, Ramatut, and Scarlet Centurion. None of them are
Right.
named Kang. They're
No.
all Kang, but Kang's just Nathaniel Richards. Spoilers from comic books from 60 years ago, by the way.
Right, but according to this that I'm just reading now, the second end credit scene that gave us Victor Timely,
Mm-hmm.
that's Kang Prime in the comics. According
It's
to
another variant from him.
No, this so according to this is a variant of Kang that hit in the early 20th century. In the comics, this version of Kang the Conqueror was noted to be this reality's real version of Kang, Kang Prime. Now, whether or not they decide to go that way is
I don't know they will, because in the comics they're not all variants. It's all one dude.
right.
Like just different times in his life.
Right.
But like Immortus is old Kang, and the Scarlet Centurion actually ended up being his kid
Right.
that he had with the Celestial Madonna. Not, it was Kang Prime and originally, and then it wasn't. But like, so there's a show, if anybody would like to listen to, when you're done our podcast, there's a podcast called Geek History Lesson that just did a 2-hour episode on Kang.
Oh, really?
Which will explain how messed up this whole thing is. So Kang was like the second of the characters introduced. Ramatut was the first one introduced.
Right.
Then they introduced Kang. Then they introduced Immortus. Then they did the Scarlet Centurion. And then they were like, by the way, they're all the same guy.
I'll be curious to see how Marvel plays this now. Because obviously you got the Council of Kangs, which doesn't look to be just one Kang, it looks to be many, many Kangs, right?
Yeah, well, and
Or is it
and we had a reason why, like for the last big bad for Thanos, like we had a reason why Thanos had to come to Earth and mess with the Avengers. Right? We don't have, none of these Kangs have any investment currently in Earth or the Avengers or whatever Avengers are left.
right?
Or any of that, right? Other than Scott seemed to do them a favor, because all of a sudden Kang had no powers at the end and had to get in a fist fight.
Right.
Meanwhile,
And
seconds before, he was just demolishing
right.
legions of ants and rebels and just everything in the snap of his fingers. And before that, could just look at somebody and fling them against a wall.
So
However, he got beat in a fist fight by Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne.
right. So this, well, Hope shot him a lot.
Yeah, but still.
So the Kang that would have a problem with Earth died.
Yeah, we've already killed 2 Kangs.
Right.
Right? He Who Remains is already dead.
He Who Remains is dead, and then Kang the Conqueror is dead.
Correct.
Right. Now we have the Council of Kangs, and then Victor Timely back in, olden times.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Right? Because Loki seems to all be about variant timelines. So, right? So, like, that's the timeline where Kang took over based on the end of Loki season 1.
Right. And
So
that's
now they're visiting different timelines. So that's not even necessarily the Kang from here.
how far into Loki season 2 though would that scene be? Because at the end of Loki season 1, Morbius didn't even know who the hell he was.
Right.
So
I bet it's halfway through the first episode, knowing how they do these end credit scenes. So, and what do we get before we get Loki season 2? So we get Secret Invasion sometime in the next month, right? Maybe. And then we get Guardians. And then the Marvels, which we forgot to mention earlier, the Marvels just got pushed from July to November.
Let's see.
I think so. Dom's saying he doesn't think the Kang is dead. The blast at the end could send him to a different part of the quantum realm. It could have. I think it perpetuates the issue that Marvel has, where they just kill off their villains instead of letting them just be villains and keep coming back. But I think we could see that Kang again. But that would be the Kang that is trying to conquer everything,
right?
Because I don't think you have an Avengers lineup, honestly, anymore that could handle one Kang that's real, that they don't depower substantially like they decided to do here, let alone a legion of Kangs or any of the other incarnations of him that we got, because it seems like those other 3 are more powerful than how we're going to play the story of this Kang. I thought the Kang effects were great, by the way. I love the fact that they did Jonathan Majors with scars on his face to give him the lines when the blue visor went down. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
That's how they told through that. So like there was a lot of cool things in this movie. I'm not denying that, but there was so much lazy storytelling in this movie that it drove me nuts.
So Secret Invasion, real fast, is coming out in the spring. So that could be time in the next whatever.
It'll be before Guardians, is my guess.
Right. Guardians is May, so this will have to come out April, March, end of March, April. We haven't.
It doesn't seem like James Gunn can give 2 shits about tying Guardians into the
no.
Whatever the rest of Marvel's doing.
And it was supposed to be Echo in the summer. That's obviously not going to happen. The Marvels is not July now, as you said, it's November. Loki is in the summer.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do? We're going to get these 2 shows, spring, summer, and then no show for the last half of the year.
Yeah, maybe they'll announce a special at some point that they've been filming that they're not telling you about. Because last year we got a Christmas and a Halloween special.
Ironheart was supposed to be fall, and Agatha was supposed to be fall.
Agatha was supposed to be like late though. It was like December.
Right. But that's, and then the next thing coming around TV show wise is supposed to be Daredevil in the spring next year.
Which that I think already got pushed.
I think that got pushed. And then Captain America May of next year.
Because it's going to be after Echo. So Echo is next year.
And then Echo is being pushed.
Right. So Echo will be before Daredevil though.
And yeah.
Another point from Dom here, his theory that Kang will get to full power through his ship. Janet referenced that in the movie. We destroyed his ship.
Yes. So that ship. Is there another ship?
Didn't seem like it. So I don't know. We'll see where they go with it. Like I said, there was some really cool stuff. There was a lot of like huge plot holes, like right. So Janet was stuck in the quantum realm because she couldn't get big, right?
Right.
But she had Pym particles that made things big by being able to blow up the time thing, right, in a ship. So
no, she made it small.
No, she made it big. She expanded it.
I thought she shrunk it.
No, because it blew up the size of a city. Remember?
Oh.
So like, but she couldn't have just used that on herself to get out of the quantum realm.
Maybe she was staying there to keep Kang there.
No, because she was stuck there before Kang got there.
Not long before.
And like like Cassie had a suit and all this stuff and couldn't use it to get out of jail.
I
And
don't.
then conveniently at the end, look what I got. I can make things bigger again. Okay.
Yeah.
No, the power source was plugged into the ship when it
Right.
was destroyed at the end. That because his original ship was now his throne in that room.
It was
They
that
got
chair.
they got knocked off the counter and everything. Yeah, or knocked off the pedestal it was on. So I don't know. Look, you definitely should see it. And yeah, I give you a ton of credit for going a few times, man. And
Yeah, I thought you gonna say
Jonathan Majors did great with what he was given. But I think the writing in these movies has just gone drastically downhill since Endgame and since we lost Marcus and McFeely. I feel like it's gotten they're trying to do too many things with too many people. And I don't know if Kevin's taken his foot off the gas and focused somewhere else. But it's
I don't
not as cleanly connected.
I don't
Oh,
think.
I heard the sales for the Ant-Man popcorn helmet were unbelievable. Which
Oh,
Dom
really?
got one of. Yeah, like they sold like 20 million the first day or like something
Jesus.
nuts.
I didn't even know
Um,
that was a thing.
yeah, it was cool. It's the Ant-Man helmet that you could get your popcorn bucket in with your drinks.
Oh, interesting.
AMC. You should have seen it.
I didn't.
But yeah, I think the biggest problem Marvel has right now is they have too many different writers with too many different styles trying to tell a cohesive story, and they're all busy doing their own things.
Well, I think in the beginning there was
But
some.
all the really good stuff was Marcus and McFeely wrote Winter Soldier. They were part of Thor, Dark World, even though they bailed out of it. But
Right.
they helped write the first Avenger. They wrote um, Winter Soldier. They wrote Civil War. They wrote Infinity War, and they wrote Endgame.
I It'll be
So
interesting.
like, there's your whole through line, right? Like the other movies were hit or miss, but like those were your tent poles that got you through because that's when everything was interconnected.
Yep.
And now you don't have those, and the guys they're trying to write that stuff with now is like rough.
I agree with what Dom just said as we wind down that Marvel fatigue is definitely starting to set in for people. The movie wasn't as bad as the critic reviews. The critics are reviewing this movie against Infinity War, an event against Endgame, as that's the high mark, and everything that comes after it, you're not going to reach that height.
But when you bill it,
Now, right?
and like Feige's billing it as like, oh my god, this is the most important. It's not like it. If it was, that's not good.
No, and I don't think he's going to bring the Russos back. I think the Russos saw.
They said they'd come back for Secret Wars, but they're not the ones that are on the board for Secret Wars because I don't think this is the Secret Wars they wanted to do.
No,
They
no,
want to do look. You'll get the Russo brothers back once you have mutants and you tell the legit
right?
original um
Yeah, Secret
Secret
War.
Wars from the 80s, not the one they're going to tell with the um insurgents and all those things that we're gonna start branching out with, because somehow we're not getting another Doctor Strange movie in here, but he's gonna have to be part of these because we got to see where him and Clea went before Secret Wars.
Right. I
I
don't.
don't know where you cram that in.
I don't know. Um, Before we go, are you still playing Hogwarts?
I've barely. I got out of Hogsmeade.
I'm level 28.
Okay,
I'm like 49% on the quests, I think.
nice.
A long game.
I'll dig back in, but I now that I know that it doesn't matter how fast I play it.
No, there's no plans for any kind of DLC.
I might jump over to Midnight Suns and start playing that instead, and then come back to
That didn't
Hogwarts
get good
Legacy.
reviews either.
It got great reviews.
What am I thinking of?
Midnight Suns, the
I'm sorry.
Marvel Midnight Suns, was considered one of the best games of last year.
I'm thinking of Gotham Knights. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no, that got shitty
No,
reviews. That was the storyline was fine.
Yeah.
It was the gameplay was not great in that.
I have 7. I have 7 more days, 8 more days before.
New Destiny stuff.
Yeah, the season 5 Destiny Lightfall comes out. It's the beginning of the end for this Light and Dark saga that they've been telling for 10 years.
Got it. Yeah, Gotham Knights. The storyline was fine. The game mechanics were awful. which hurt the storyline.
Yeah.
But the story itself was actually pretty well done. And Midnight Suns is something that I expect we'll get in Marvel TV at some point. But I'm intrigued to go play that game a little bit more than this. And I'm not enough of a gamer to understand how card-based combat works, so I'll figure that out when I get there.
I'm just gonna start pulling all my stories from the Facebook group Dom and I are in.
Well, there you go. So thanks everybody for listening. As always, you can drop us a review, tell a friend, find us anywhere you find your podcasts. You can find me at jackkidmusic.com and on all the socials. I'll be out and about this week, like I said, coming to you in Exton, Percy, and in Center City, Philly at Con Murphy's. So stop out, say hi, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for finding the Geek Spot.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.